It's Tuesday Thoughts for Soccer's morning show. John here, you there. Thanks for hanging out. And thanks to everybody who kind of parachuted into the Power Hour, which turned into a Power Hour Plus yesterday. Bart Keeler joining us out of the blocks to talk USMNT and anything else on Bart's mind. And so it was kind of a way to get stuff off your chest a little bit. If you wanted to get stuff off your chest on a Monday, that was the chance to do it once travel plans finally figured themselves out. Same way today. For those of you that missed yesterday, chance to get stuff off your chest from the weekend. Doesn't matter what it's about. Could be transfers, could be your team that was in action, could be coaches getting fired, which we'll get into more in depth than we did yesterday. It could be players leaving and seeing how that affects the depth chart. So Gold Cup and Atlanta United and News of the Morning, and there's transfers and there's all this kind of stuff. So whatever's on your mind this morning on a Tuesday for Tuesday Thoughts. As always, thanks for hanging out and seeing everybody going on. Yes, way to Juve. We'll get into that. And sorry, Alex. Wait a second. What happened at Newcastle? What did I miss? So that's where we are. So as always, anything's on the table. Let me go through the housekeeping here in just a little bit. But obviously, first off, we always have to ask the question.
So what do you guys want to talk about?
All right. So that's on the table. All right. Here's your housekeeping for today and for the rest of the week. Obviously, later on today, we'll have our USL programming up, the weekend review preview for both League One and for the USL Championship. Some NPSL extra material with Jack Marchant, the head coach of the Revs, and Julien Seignon from Charlottetown Hops that because of technology did not make last week's NPSL show. So we're going to post it as an NPSL extra today and get you ready for the week that will be, because there's only 2 more weeks left in the regular season. And then everybody sprints into the playoffs, and obviously we'll keep an eye on all of that too. Couple of matches left in USLW competition. Looks like Chattanooga Red Wolves are going to be at the top of the ladder in the conference here in this neck of the woods, at least where SDH is based. We'll get you into the playoffs. There's 16 teams that make it into the final playoff structure, 10 division champs and 6 wild cards. So it looks like 2 out of the Sunshine Conference will be making their way in, and Red Wolves will be making their way in. So we'll catch up with the folks with Red Wolves and playoffs and cover that in the postseason as well. And let's see what else. We've got MLS Next Pro that's got to come up in the next couple of days. We're still keeping track of high schools and some really cool stuff. Soleil Washington from Chambly, it was named to the Jamaica national team that's going to be heading to the World Cup. And so we're going to try to catch up with her before she leaves the country to represent Jamaica in the Women's World Cup. Let's see. Next Pro, Gold Cup, NPSL, high schools, USL, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Tomorrow, obviously, Dylan Butler will be joining us now that we're back up and running normal. So Dylan Butler, 10 o'clock. Thursday is a packed show. I've got to tell Bart that he's 9:30. It looks like so 9 o'clock normal, 9:30 Bart, because it'll be a late night Wednesday with the U.S. taking on St. Kitts and Nevis. 10 o'clock, our friends from the USL show, Kaylor Hodges. We know that the young married gentleman that's a part of the show will be joining us. He's going to try to round up the troops. So it'll be USL show, monthly appearance at 10. Nico Moreno joining us at 10:30. So Thursday's pretty stacked. And Friday is your traditionally stacked show. 9 o'clock is normal. 9:30. Greg Garza has written it in his calendar. So it's going to be Greg with our friends at Beyond Goals coming on at 9:30. 10 o'clock is the weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming. Remember, Saturday is a 4:25 start. Let me double check that really quickly, because it's on Big Fox and it's in all the other places as well. But I want to double check to make sure that it is, in fact, what it is on Sunday. Sunday at 4, which means Sunday at 4:25. That's 7, 5, and 8 greets 10, 5, and 4. So we'll have that leading into the United States and Trinidad and Tobago. And so it's a busy week when it comes to a lot of that. So remember, Sunday, separate and apart from everybody else. Atlanta United, Philadelphia Union. That one is on Sunday. It's the Big Fox game. It's the only one that is not a part of the Saturday extravaganza with everything going on. So all of that we have to look forward to this week, and everything that is on the table. So I know that when Jarrett wanders in, he will discuss Sam. I know that and this is the thing. All right, since we're in opening kickoff territory, yes, Abby, we'll talk about the twos. We'll get into Luis as well. All right, so the folks in LSU, they won a baseball national championship, and I'd like to thank them for beating the University of South Georgia Gainesville campus for doing so. Man, I'm jumping around all over the place. I mean, it's like I'm just diving into things. So, opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. Once again, you click on that. You can get into the world of Kickoff Coffee. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. They get 15%. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10% reinvested into the youth initiatives and youth games. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Now, all right, back to what Sam was talking about. LSU won a national baseball championship against the University of South Georgia Gainesville campus. Okay. So yeah. See, this is where Alex and I we're gonna have words at some point. University of South Georgia Gainesville campus lost in the best of 3 Men's College World Series that was in Omaha, and they apparently, if you took the over in the juice boxes, you became a very, very well-off individual very, very quickly, at least in games 2 and 3. A lot of runs on the board, and so LSU won. So Mazel Tov. Thank you for beating the University of Florida. As the guy that graduated from the school down I-10 out west of that location, we'd like to tip our hat to you, LSU, and say thank you. And that's a lot of this is baseball related this morning. Everybody's just happy that the folks in Gainesville lost. More than wanting the UF folks to lose. Yes, it is a sorry Alex day. Wow, a lot of this is for Alex. Man, I did not realize this slipped my mind, or I forgot that Alex was a University of Florida guy. So, you got to give Paul Skeens a lot of credit. If you didn't see the video of him giving his teammate a piggyback ride on the final out, very, very cool stuff. And you know that he's going to end up going very, very early in the draft. Very, very early. So that was part and parcel to that. So tied for the most national championships in baseball at 7. Well, when you've got a guy like Skip Bertman as your head coach, you're going to win. You're going to win them. Dylan Cruz. We have word on Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz. It is an eternal. Sorry, Alex is an eternal. I will grant you that. That is part of the lexicon here with the network, and has been ever since the absolute beginning of things. All right. So you said that Paul is a Georgia. How is he a Georgia person? It looks like he went to El Toro High School from Air Force, hometown of Lake Forest, California. Previous 6'6", 247. Goodness gracious. El Toro High down by what used to be the MCAS. And went to previous. So he's it appears that the gentleman is an Army brat. 4.76 GPA in college. I mean, in high school. And I went to El Toro High in Lake Forest, California. Born in Fullerton, Orange County kid. You gotta love that. See, now I dig that as a South Bay, as a South 714 myself. There you go. No, and Michael, nothing wrong with stirring the pot. That's what we're here for. No, that's what we're here for. And we'll get into what Red Bulls talk, and we'll get into what you guys are thinking all across the board. Like I said, we're here this morning. It's all good. That's what we're here for on a daily basis. Nothing wrong with stirring the pot ever. I want when we have the show, I want you guys to get stuff off your chest. I want to have an honest discourse, and I want to have an entire picture painted. I would rather us talk things through than internalize and keep things inside. That's always been one of my things, not just in talk show format, not just having to do with something like this. If there's anything on your chest, get it off, because it doesn't do you any good to sit there and sit on it. Because the more you sit on something that's on your chest, that's on your mind, that's on your heart, it's going to weigh on you. And I would much rather 5+ days a week when we do the live show and anything in any other format, I want you guys to get this stuff off your chest. I don't want you to hang on to it. Hang on to negativity or anything that's on your mind. If it's a question that you have, don't ever be afraid to ask a question. This goes back to when I talk to college interns, and they're always, I'm sure you guys do this too at work. When you're at work, or for those of you that no longer work, or what have you, when you were at work and you were when you were doing whatever your gig was, and you'd always have the college intern come in, and you've got the person who's the head of intern management. And that individual is taking the interns, and the interns are either wide-eyed or they're very shy, and they don't want to rock the boat or anything like that. They don't want to say anything. They don't want to say anything the first or second day of work, and sit there and get on your quote unquote bad side, because you said something first day of work, and you were out of school, intern. You shouldn't have said something. No. When I would always have, and to this day, when I always have interns or people come and visit, wherever I am, if it's a high school kid or a college kid, and they always want to know what's going on, I will always say, no question is a stupid question, because it's been in somebody's mind before. Trust me. It's always been there. You're not the first person to think it. So don't be afraid to say it. And like I said, I don't want stuff to weigh down on conversations. I don't want it to weigh down on your thought patterns. I don't want it to weigh down on your fandom. So if there's anything on your mind, ever, put it out there. I mean, that's part of what the Twitch pitch is for. The Twitch pitch, I mean, all of you guys in the Twitch pitch, you guys have amazing conversations with each other. And half the time, if not more than that, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at all of you guys having conversations with each other, solving problems. Do that. Continue to have those kinds of conversations. Have those things. And don't worry about putting something in the Twitch pitch, or don't worry about, putting something in a conversation to avoid having a conversation because, for one reason or another, I don't think I should put it out there. No, don't ever do that. Like I said, the Twitch pitch, you guys have solved a lot of the world's problems over the last X number of years. I mean, going into season 7 here, you guys have solved the world's problems talking to each other. Nothing wrong with that. So seriously, if there's anything on your mind, don't ever just hang on to it, because like I said, you're probably not the first person to think it. You're probably not the first person to ask it. And I don't want it to hang over you like a black cloud. I don't want black clouds hanging over folks on a daily/weekly basis when it comes to whatever's going on. Don't ever be afraid to put something out there. Like I said, we always have honest discourse. Put something out there. Like I said, Twitch Pitch, you guys pretty much can solve problems with once amongst each other, if that makes any sense grammatically. Don't worry about it, Michael. But no, we'll get into Atlanta United. Like I said, this is the first day side that we've had the chance to get into it. We've got a lot of transfer news going on overseas. We'll talk about that too. And we'll get into pretty much anything on your mind. Abby, you're not alone. I like Miggy. I like Darren. Not happy who owns Newcastle. No, you're not alone in that regard. So let me see. All right. So yeah, Timothy Weah to Juve. We'll get into that. It's been a very busy morning for Fabrizio Romano and Ben Jacobs, at least for starters. Like I said, we'll get into all of that stuff. We'll get into the twos. That was fun. Obviously, we can talk about Vicente Reyes as well, going to Norwich, and that became officially official because you have teams making announcements, you're holding jerseys, those kinds of things. So, all right. So, I mean, Emilio, I know that you're thinking about the national game. I remember last time that they were that Philadelphia was here. It was one of the best defensive efforts that Atlanta United put together for a full 90 minutes last season. And I know that we're all looking, and you ask the guys, they're looking for the same kind of a thing. And remember, Andre Blake, not there. You have Bendick face. You've got Joe Bendick in net. You got group stage right now going on with Andre Blake. So it's getting the ball past Joe Bendick, who's not Andre Blake. So, and also remember. Remember what Jim Curtin said. Sorry, Rich. Remember what Jim Curtin said about U17s. Remember what he said. Carry that with you to Sunday afternoon. Said you were plastics. And I know I'm stirring the pot a little bit, but I think that there are certain individuals that deserve your attention when they're in your building. And Jim Curtin is one of those individuals. And Philadelphia is one of those teams. Rich, it's going to be one of those interesting weeks in the Twitch pitch. I will tell you that right now. So it's going to be a fun week in the Twitch pitch. We got a lot of stuff to get into this morning. But no, like I said, anything that's on your mind, lay it out there. So there's plenty to talk about when it comes to transfers and money and Harry Kane and Declan Rice and Tim Weah and all these kinds of folks. So, all right, Tafka. I actually tell you what. All right, so that's opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Right there. There's your QR code once again for those of you watching on Twitch. Use the code soccer down here 15 for Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And you get 15% off. And then they in turn take 10%, reinvested into the youth game, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right. So, Tafka. Now, this is something that I think we probably should resurrect. The conversation, and what I may do, Tafka, if I can find it, is I'll see if I can post that particular thing that we did. Tafka's comment, All-Star game, either ditch it or make it a fun, relaxed 6v6 tourney type thing. You can't make fans treat something seriously when it's undeniably pointless. From an MLS perspective, we here on the network, literally what we did, we solved the All-Star game issue in about an hour and 10 minutes. And I'm going to have to find it. And what I may do is see if I can find the show in and of itself and see where we fixed the All-Star game. 22. Yes. Okay. March 21st of this year, so basically January, February, March, 3 months ago on this very show, we fixed the All-Star game. We absolutely fixed it. And we turned it into something that we thought would be incredibly fun. And with all of you guys and Jarrett and Nick and myself, what we determined, and this is the short version, like I said, I'm going to have to go back to the show in March, and I may just repost the fixing of the All-Star game. What we decided, we had rule changes. What we first and foremost decided was that we're going to keep it internal. Keeping it internal. No more MLS All-Stars versus insert club from a foreign league here that people want to see because of one guy who may or may not play and make an appearance with 5 minutes to go so everybody can sit there and go, woo. I got my tickets worth because I got to see CR30, whatever he was at that point. So, yeah, I got to see Cristiano Ronaldo. Oh, I got to see a Liga MX side. Oh, I got to see this. Oh, I got to see Arsenal. I got to, no more of that. First and foremost, no more of that anyway. Because if you're trying to treat yourself seriously as a league, then why? Why bring in an outsider who's going to bring in a C squad? Why do something like that? Because you're not improving your lot in life, and that club that you're playing isn't going to fully invest in it either. Somebody might make the trip, but they may not play. They may do your practice video and sit there and goof around and wear a penny and do, drills and things, but they may not play, or if they do, they're going to be a part of the game day 25 and be subbed in at like the 85th minute. Why continually subject yourself to that if you are Major League Soccer? So we internalize the whole thing. MLS versus MLS. Eastern versus East versus West. Team 1, Team 2, North, South, however we had it phrased. Like I said, I'm going to have to pull this up. But the short version is you bring in players that you want. You bring in legends. You bring in, you surprise the hell out of a media member at halftime in the press box. You make it fun. You have unlimited substitutions. And you have like wild cards that you can bring in for whatever reason. Like if you wanted to bring in Ronaldinho or something like that. You have the right to wild cards. But what we did, unlimited changes to where it's not just, literally it's like almost futsal rules. If you've got like a roster of 25 or 30 and they're all standing around warming up, doing whatever, and you've got, say, Clint Dempsey, who is a part of the announce crew, or Don Ovan, or Stu, or Lex, or Rob Stone, or whomever is, Liam McHugh, Kevin Egan, Moadu, whoever's doing the All-Star game. Have that kind of a wild card. And literally, if, say, Ronaldinho wanted to come in, you do a hot tag. Literally, if you're on the field, you're on the hot tag, and then what you end up with is, I'm going to tag in Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho comes in, he does a couple of step overs, he scores a golazo, and there you go. You're done. And then he tags out, and then his day's done. So you got something like that. But in an hour and 10 or an hour and 15 minutes, we legitimately fixed the All-Star game. Legitimately fixed it. And Mr. Fantastic, we got into that yesterday, but I'll be more than happy to go back into it talking about Canada's finances. When Rick Westhead's knocking on your door, that's the last thing you want from TSN, but we'll get into that too. So there's plenty to talk about this morning. But Tafka, I will find that show from March. I will repost the segment where we fixed the All-Star game. And I mean, you had introductions, you had fireworks, you had, I mean, literally you're surprising people that are there. You're in. Oh-ish. What am I going to do? Hot tag, fire wagon change, everything like that. So we fixed the All-Star game. Yesterday, Major League Soccer came up with the All-Star Week events. Skills Challenge on Tuesday. The EMLS All-Star Challenge is on Sunday the 16th. All-Star Skills Challenge is on the 18th. The All-Star Games on the 19th. In Glenn Warner's soccer facility at the Naval Academy. That's for the MLS Next All-Star Game, and the MLS All-Star Game is at Audi Field. So the All-Star Soccer Celebration, all day of service on Sunday. 17th is the MLS All-Star Concert, and you guys are going to have to help me out here. Kalani with DJ Pee Wee. I know neither of them. You have to help me out there. Ticket fees benefiting DC Central Kitchen. Very cool. Two-time Grammy-nominated R&B star Kalani with DJ Pee Wee. I know neither of them. All-Star Skills Challenge. 10 players, each team competing in the ultimate test of skill. Goalie Wars with a Z is involving MLS Next Pro Keepers. Very, very cool stuff. Those announcements got posted on the website the other day. Shooting Challenge, Touch Challenge, Cross and Volley Challenge, Passing Challenge, Crossbar Challenge. MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate. That's at the Naval Academy. And I will say this. If Nicholas Firmino and Kareem Tamimi are not a part of it, something's wrong. Something's seriously wrong. There should be a lot of at least knocking on the door to see Nick Firmino at least, and Kareem Tamimi, who's also got 5 goals on the board. Free and open to the public. 10:30 in the morning on Wednesday. Special Olympics Unified matches at 3. That's also at the Naval Academy. And Liam Stewart from Atlanta United Unified is going, scored his first goal this past weekend at Red Bull Arena against Red Bulls in the 3-1 win that was on ATLUTD.com. Marty Jellamy, the head coach for Atlanta United Unified, is going to be a part of the proceedings as well. And that's at 3 o'clock, and then the All-Star Game's at 8. And like I said, it's Audi Field. Cool. It's Arsenal. Woo. You need to do it yourself. You need to be self-contained. You need to be either east, west, north, south, team 1, team 2, team A, team B. I don't care. If you're trying to boost your own perception in the world stage and internally in your country, I mean, why? Why are you continuing to bring teams over who are not going to be fully invested? If you at least have control of the entire venue, then you ought to make it as damn fun as humanly possible. I will find it and I will repost it now that we have all this stuff squared away from Major League Soccer about what it's going to look like. Campeones Cup got announced. LAFC is going to host Tigres. That one is September 27th in Los Angeles at BMO Stadium. So LAFC and Tigres, September 27th on season pass. And tickets not available yet, but you can certainly sign up and get the emails as to when those things become available. So, if you're going, then make sure that you that you get everything understood. And I'm buzzing through the Twitch pitch. So, once again, if I skip over something and if you guys are solving the world's problems, cool, great. It's fantastic. Love to see it. Sam, lack of transfer rumors concerning y'all, or is it just me? I don't want my business done publicly. I don't want to know. And besides, when you put stuff out there publicly, then that means that it turns into a negotiating point against you as opposed to for you. If you're negotiating with somebody behind closed doors, what we don't know is what we know. We don't know what we don't know. And because of that, the two teams can negotiate in private, do whatever the heck they want, and they can figure something out. If you are a team, and this is across the board, if you are a team and you are negotiating things publicly, then what you're doing is you're putting yourself at a disadvantage in the negotiation process anyway. The last thing I think that anybody wants to do is negotiate something publicly because it puts you on the defensive and it makes it more difficult for you to sit there and go, okay, well, all right, well, let's play this out. If you are, if you're at an auto dealership and you're the first person to open your mouth about the price of a car, the salesman's already got you because he knows what your limits are and what you're able to dance with. And so you're already at a competitive disadvantage going to get that car. Because now you've given that salesman an in. The salesman knows, okay, the guy has said this about the car that he wants. If I can't get him to get this car because I want him to spend a certain amount of money, then maybe I can get him to spend money on this car over here and still keep this car that he initially was interested in. And I'm sorry to go down analogy road there, but think about it that way. I want negotiations in private. Private. I don't want to know until it's almost over the line. Until Fabrizio Romano says either it's close or here we go. I don't want to know about the negotiations, and I don't want my negotiations public because of knowledge, lack of knowledge, what have you. Not interested in hearing anything publicly. And since we're, getting close to a window, you would imagine that, hell, how much did we know about Luis Araujo and Flamengo until it was almost over the line? Everything, just negotiate it behind closed doors. Keep yourself in a competitive environment when it comes to negotiating, and then let me know when you're close or when Fabrizio Romano or anybody says, yeah, it's almost a done deal. Don't put your news and your thoughts out there about players and negotiations publicly because you're instantly second in the discussion. Instantly second in the discussion at that point. So don't worry about a lack of transfer rumors. Let the negotiating happen behind closed doors and fogged up windows and long conference tables and Zoom and things like that. Just let that roll. Let's see. Let's see. Tom mentioned the number of points he was thinking yesterday. Let's see. Nix is not optimistic about the rest of the season, and this is the other part of all of this. Once again, all the conversations that we've had here on the network with Garth Lagerwey, everything that you've seen publicly. It's all a part of the process. Garth has said that this is going to be, there's going to be pain before there's going to be, success or pleasure or whatever word you want to put into it. It's going to be some ripping off of some Band-Aids here. So see where the summer window goes. But once again, you don't want that information out there publicly. You don't. Trust me, you don't. Negotiate in private. When the deal happens, or when it's close to it, we'll know. But just let the deal happen. That's all good. Abby in the twos. Yeah, For those of you that missed it yesterday, Nicholas Firmino, he's had a very, very busy week. And I mean, it started back on the weekend with this moment. You recognize the play-by-play, courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game in Major League Soccer.
Joel, 1v1 with O'Toole. Joel into the 18 to Lennon. Lennon pops it back, top of the 6, headed on, and in! Goal! 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 And it's Nick Firmino! Firmino, the magic man from Atlanta United 2, rescues the first team tonight at the Benz, 2-2.
So we go from there to this weekend, and from the midweek to the match against NYCFC 2, Atlanta United 2 was down early, down 2-0. Johnny Vial, and when Jarrett pops me back in the next time, then we can we'll break down the twos because Jarrett and Jason had the call here on the network. It was 2-0. Johnny Vial comes in the 55th, I want to say. Then he ends up with 2 assists on the night, creates the first incident inside the box where penalties called, converted by Jackson Conway. It's his 25th goal for the twos. Makes it 2-1. Then you get Aiden McFadden with an absolute blast to make it 2-2. And Atlanta United's not done. This happened 15 minutes to go.
Beer just gives it away, passes right to Brennan. Brennan, through ball to Vial. Vial, top of the 18, closed down, blocked back to Firmino, shot, goal! 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 Nick Firmino! 9th goal of the season, Atlanta United 2, all the way back from 2 down to go up 3-2.
Okay, so Jason mentioned there that was Nick's 9th goal of the season. Didn't stop there. How about one more for good measure before the end of the night?
Hernandez. Top of the 6. Headed away. Vial runs it down 30 yards from goal. Cuts it back to Firmino. Firmino into the 18. Firmino! Goal, goal, goal! Atlanta United 2. 10 on the year for the magic man, Nick Firmino.
I don't know how many goals he's going to score in a given week, but I'll take that from Nick Firmino.
Yeah, you will take it from Nick Firmino. And I think, and I'll have to ask Jarrett when he's on the show, if when Nick scored that third goal with the banging on the desk, I think that was Jarrett. So we'll have to ask him. But from 2-0 down to a 4-2 win, big win for Steve Cook and Jose Silva. Steve served his yellow card suspension for that match, so Coach Silva was on the touchline for it. So with that win, that's the only home match in a while. I think it's another 3 weeks before Atlanta United. They're off this week. The twos are off. They're off for the first time this year on a weekend. But with that win, big win, in the Central, Crew 2 have sprinted out to a 31-point margin right now. They marker 15 matches, 31 points. Atlanta is tied in points with OCB in the Central, but the purple team has played 2 less matches, so their points per game average is higher. So right now, OCB's in second, Atlanta United's in third, and there's a gap between that and Chicago Fire 2, who are in fourth with 19 points. Huntsville, our friend Jack Collison, is at Hunt City with 18 points. FC Cincinnati is at 16 points. Inter Miami's at 4-9-2. They are at 14 points, 7th in the Central. In the conference itself, you look at things, Atlanta United 2 right now is 6th in the conference, 2 points ahead of NYCFC 2 in conference play, and then once again 5 ahead of Fire 2, who are in 8th. So Crown Legacy's at 35 points. That's the next match for Atlanta United 2. That is in 2 weeks at Matthews. Big test for them. Obviously, we'll have our SDH on MLS Next Pro review preview coming up this week as well. I know it'll surprise you that part of it has to do with Crown Legacy. Crown Legacy 10-2-3-2. That fourth column is the extra point that you get in shootout wins. 35 points, 4 points clear of Crew. Revs 2 at 30, Red Bulls 2 at 27, OCB, Atlanta United 2, 5th and 6th. So that's how things are right now in MLS Next Pro. Very, very, very busy. Very, very busy. So very, very cool stuff that we've gotten from Atlanta United 2. And conversation right now about the transfer market and the window opening up in short order here in the next handful of days. And like I said, I'm operating on the premise from the interviews that we've had from Garth Lagerwey. Yes, this is a big window coming up. So we'll see what happens and how it's addressed. You've got the cap to think about. You've got roster spots to think about. You've got all the signings that are going to kick in next year that you've got to juggle. So it's going to be an interesting time for a couple of different reasons. Seeing this team continue to grow and gel and improve and work on additions like we got with Yorgos Giacomakis and beating Urawa Red Diamonds to the punch to bring in Gigi, who's done really well this year in his first season of Major League Soccer. So that's what you're staring at when it comes to the window. And Sam, once again, to the larger point, let them negotiate in private. We'll talk about all the rumors as they come across our bow collectively. But once again, this will be the reminder that we always have in these transfer windows. Check your sources. Tier 1 sources we have. We have tier 1 sources. When it comes to anything that you guys see in Discord, in Reddit, on the Bird app, check your sources. Check the number of followings that you have. Check the spellings of the account, because there'll be ones that'll kind of be sitting there and they'll be like one letter off, and they'll give you information and it won't be the legit deal of dude or whomever. Check your spelling, check your sources. Be careful about these kinds of things. We'll talk about them, but once again, just be careful as you research these kinds of things. So just keep an eye. Just keep an eye on stuff. Oh, speaking of which, here's Jarrett Smith. Good morning, Jarrett.
Morning, John. How are you?
Oh, back.
Hello, John. Hello, John.
From Newark.
Hello, John. Hello, John.
Yes.
Sorry, my child's been on a Jurassic Park kick, so now I just have like I just have John Hammond living rent free in my skull. Hello, John.
Yes, exactly. We just went through the MLS All-Star Week itinerary, and Tafka wanted to fix the All-Star game, and I told him our greatest.
We already did that.
I know, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to repost on the network us tackling the All-Star game and fixing it in the hour and 15 minutes that you, Nick, and I did from 3 months ago. I'm going to repost it on the network so folks can listen.
So
But
I have a question.
Yeah.
I know this happens in other sports. I want to know if MLS contracts have All-Star game stipulations.
Oh, I'm sure that there's bonus.
Because if Tyler, because I know Tyler Miller was the one where everyone's like, oh man, like we're going to get some like 75-yard bombs in this game because Tyler Miller's going to be playing at the halfway line. If Tyler Miller's contract has an all-star stipulation where he gets a fat bonus for making the all-star team, then Wayne Rooney is a good man. Because if he got a chance to look out for his goalkeeper, Tyler Miller doesn't just go completely out of pocket because Tyler Miller wants to be that guy. Like, it's intentional. Wayne Rooney wants it to play that way. And just told him, hey, you're going to get chipped. It's going to happen, but this is how we're going to play. But I need to know if Tyler Miller has a stipulation in his contract where maybe he gets like $50,000 or $100,000 bonus or something. I don't know. Maybe he gets like a big green egg if he makes an all-star game. Because if that's the case, then Wayne Rooney's a real one.
Oh, yeah. And
like,
apparently,
if that's the case, and Wayne Rooney was like, I'm going to use my goalkeeper, but also I'm going to get my goalkeeper his bonus.
Oh, yeah.
Wayne Rooney is a real one.
You keep an eye out for your boys. Absolutely.
He is looking out for his boys if that's the case. And if not, then whatever. We might get Martin Odegaard hitting 70-yard bombs.
Yeah. Well, and that was
we all win.
Yeah, well, that was part of what we were doing in fixing the All-Star game. First and foremost, is we were not letting other teams kind of just bring in dudes who might show up at the end inside the confines of the All-Star game format. Just make it amongst yourself. And Tafka, I will post it later today. Tell you what, I will write it down. I'm writing down.
Tafka, it was incredibly drunk. For being done at like 10 a.m., it was day drunk, man.
But it fixed the problems.
It did fix the problems, but it was day drunk the way that Omaha, Nebraska is currently day hungover, because I don't know if there is any alcohol left in the city of Omaha, Nebraska.
I doubt it very seriously.
Did you see the final shot, Jello shot numbers?
Yeah, I did. And for one school to have invested $485,000 gross before taxes on Jello shots, good on you, LSU fan, for setting a new record until the next time that your team is in that tournament and you try to chase after that kind of greatness. You shattered the Ole Miss record by triple.
Well, and they did. It does need to come with a caveat, though, because you got multiple big booster donors, including the dude who founded Canes, rolled in there and dropped $10,000 or 10,000 shots.
Yeah.
So I mean, if someone hits 45 or 50,000, then you're going to have a conversation about, do we count the LSU boosters who came in and decided they wanted to win this? Because that's not like average Joes going in and buying a couple Jello shots before they decide that's not good enough. I need stronger liquor that I keep at the hotel, and they go back and make their own. I hate that it kind of turned into that. Although I think some of the money goes to charity, so that's good. But yeah, man, 67,000 I think it was.
Yeah,
was the final number.
Yeah,
it's a lot of Jello shots.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Anyone who anyone's been to an LSU home game is not surprised at all. Hey, man, look, that entire college World Series was absolutely a joy.
Mm-hmm.
The last 8 teams were an absolute joy, and I will die on the hill that a Wake LSU final. That was the final. Aside from Florida doing a full LA Angels where they outscored LSU over 3 games. However, they did it. They did it by dropping 24 runs in game 2. They outscored LSU 31-25, I think.
Yeah.
That aside from that, it was that was what LSU did. Considering LSU didn't have consistent starting pitching coming into it. I have no idea how they pulled that off. They had every excuse to be dead in the water after the Wake series, and to outlast Florida, then take Florida's best punch, and then to absolutely blast Florida's one of their best starting pitchers in 1 1/3 inning was just insane. And now it was a fun final in the sense that the top 3 players taken in the draft were in that series, 2 from LSU, 1 from Florida. That was hilarious. Omaha is not a sober town anymore.
No.
Yeah, Sam, we can do a separate manifesto on non-morning show side of Tommy Tanks and his beautiful bombs that he was hitting, and the fact that everyone on that roster looks like they go boar hunting as soon as practice is over.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of that LSU roster is very, very, very competent with a compound bow in their hands.
I bet.
All of them.
And their bare hands.
Oh yeah. They can, all of them can efficiently clean a fish, and all of them can dress a boar.
Mm-hmm.
That is basically where we're at. It was beautiful.
Yeah. All right. So it
made up for the fact that it made up for Saturday night.
Yes, it did. We got Abby says that the U16 team will be recognized at the end of halftime for Sunday's match. as well they should, with our Intercontinental Champion Rocket Rita, a part of that group. And so,
Ricky says, future Atlanta United home ground Rocket Rita. Yeah, you know what, Ricky, we talk about this every time someone gets signed about, like, who's the next one we should watch out for? Rocket's a good shout, man.
Well, you've got Rocket,
Ashton
and
Gordon.
You've got all those homegrowns. You've got Okunlola, who you've got.
Well, he is at Clemson now, officially.
Well,
but that might be he might only be at Clemson for a year.
Yeah,
if Okunlola done. Yeah, if Okunlola does what Okunlola's been doing, he might not finish at Clemson.
So, good work from the U16s in Frisco, Texas. We played Nicholas Firmino's goals of the week, going all the way back to the midweek, the busy week of Nick Firmino. And since I haven't had the chance to talk to you about the twos and NYCFC 2, down 2-0. And one of the more underappreciated aspects of this, yes, I know we focus on the brace from Firmino in 15 minutes, the Aiden McFadden absolute bomb, and Jackson Conway getting his 25th. But Johnny Viall flying below the radar again as an instigator in all of this.
I wasn't below the radar to me. Wasn't below the radar to anybody who listened to me, because Johnny Viall rolled into that game, drew a penalty seconds after coming into the game. He was looking for it. He knew exactly what he was doing. He had the dude leaning, and he was looking for it, and he got it. But then had 2 assists, and then, as you know, as Atlanta United's Instagram account points out, he steps in front and blocks a shot that starts a transition for another goal. Like, that's Johnny Viall is one of those dudes where we talked about last year that playing those USL games, they benefited from just the reckless physicality that USL can have. And USL can be stressful at times when you were playing in it, because you'd have teams that sit deeper and they could just muscle you off the ball, because it was grown men playing against teenagers sometimes.
Yeah.
But Johnny Viall got tougher. Because that's the way I see it. He got tougher. Doesn't mean Johnny's going to run out there and he doesn't turn into one of the outsiders, and he's not out there with Pony Boy trying to start a fight. But yeah, man, Johnny is very, very tough for a guy his size, and I was incredibly impressed with what he showed in that game, where he came in and he was finding space and being lethal. And look, I don't know if Johnny's going to have what kind of, like, if he's going to grow anymore, if he's going to have the size to just not get his block knocked off constantly. But I don't know that the skill will ever be a question, or the confidence. I don't know if either one of those things will ever be a question for Johnny Viall. We also haven't talked about the first team, but we can do that as well, because I got thoughts.
Then, all right. So since you have thoughts, I'm going to go ahead, since we're 2 minutes to the top of the hour, I'm going to go ahead and run a promo. I'm going to go ahead and cut it.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and just treat it like legal ID. You got to get it within the earshot of the top of the hour.
Yes, within the 5s to get the legal ID in. So that's what I'm going to do here. We'll do our Eliminize promo and go from here. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's Eliminize Service, proud sponsor of Everything SDH. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos, they've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use the Eliminize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment we like that these days. Very green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either under the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when you reach under the sink or above you in the cupboard, take out that masking agent, spray it in the air. There's a reason they call it a masking agent, because all it does is mask the odor. It doesn't attack the problem all the way down to the molecule, like our friends at Eliminize do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing one of 2 ways. Either buy the cubic foot or parts per million and come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go, it's the website. Eliminize.com. But do us a favor. After the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from. Your full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, Eliminize.com /Atlanta. Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH as we give our Tuesday thoughts. There's no real slow fade with that thing. All right, Jarrett, you got thoughts. Rock and roll. Start hour 2.
Well, first off, Jason's triggered because I'm bringing up The Outsiders, and we all read that book in 7th grade. I'm pretty sure. Watching Dally do a suicide by cop was, that'll mess up a lot of people.
That is true.
Yeah, man. So Saturday night was a game.
Yes, it was.
There were many games that happened, and that was one of them, right?
That's absolutely correct.
There are a few things when you're playing Red Bulls that you can't afford to do. And Atlanta did 2 of them in the first half. And it wasn't the kids who committed them. It was veteran players who committed them. Laughing through the pain.
Yes.
You know that on set pieces, and especially for throw-ins, like Red Bulls want to go quickly. They want to catch you sleeping. You cannot be caught sleeping, which is what Andrew Gutman did. Gutman got caught sleeping on that throw-in, and against a lot of teams, I feel like you're not thinking about it as much. And long throw-ins, everyone uses them differently. They're becoming more of a weapon. For some people, they've already been a weapon, and it's kind of like a, where have you been? We've been doing this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But Red Bulls love to utilize long throw-ins. They love to utilize quick throw-ins to catch you off guard, which is what they did. The problem is Andrew Gutman can't be sleeping. He cannot be. You are playing a team that you know they want that opportunity and they're going to take it. It's kind of like showing up to a triple option game and just not having discipline and not having man discipline or gap discipline.
Yep.
Like, well, that's something that can't happen. He can't fall asleep there because it puts you in a hole. I thought you create the first chance doing what you were going to do, which is to play with the ball, draw Red Bull's pressure into you, and then you were able to hit it over the top to Giacomakis, who cushioned a header beautifully to Wiley. Wiley hits a right foot shot, right goalkeeper. Okay, fired across the bow there. That's fine. But you can't fall asleep like he did, like Gutman did. And it's the second game in a row where you've looked at Andrew Gutman and I'm like, I need you to be better than that. I don't know what is different this year from last year, but he hasn't been the same guy this year. He still gives you something going forward. Absolutely. He's still combative. He's still athletic. He still is a threat. But, getting caught leaning in the first minute against NYC was tough. It put you in a hole. This put you in a hole. You can't keep getting put in a hole like that. And then put out trying to play a dangerous ball over the middle when he doesn't need to. Like, you've tried a couple times there and it keeps getting pushed back in your face. Look, one option you have is put it in a row H or, put it as far away as humanly possible and make Red Bulls build it up because they weren't great in build up. Like when they didn't have you on the break, they weren't shredding you on the build up. And the other option is just kind of hang on to it because in that moment, there's no one really closing down Porata. They're kind of waiting for him to see what he does. They have all of his options marked, which is why I'm kind of like either take a step and dribble with it for a bit, see if you can create some space for somebody else, or just yeet it into East Jesus. Yes. Whatever you got to do, but playing a dangerous ball comes right back down your throat because it was even if you connected with it, I don't know that it would have been worth it. And it's just 2 mistakes that you can't make against Red Bulls because you know how they play. You know what they're going to do. And the 2 goals in the second half, like, I don't know, man, it might have been hot takey. I didn't really care about them.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you had put on you had already started changing guys out, which, hey man, credit to Machop Chol and Amar Sadic, who were really damn good when they came on and they tried to make stuff happen because in that situation, you were trying to force the hand and make stuff happen. Machop Chol has been an amazing super sub. I'm sure he'll push for starting minutes if he does, more power to him. But he's been an amazing super sub for this team. And he's been great at coming into the flow of the game. And Jason and I were talking about the other night. I don't know how many of y'all want to get triggered by this, but whatever. He's got some Breck Shea in him. in the sense that they're both big and long and athletic and good at dribbling, but like not in the way of like Lucho Acosta is good at dribbling, where he's or Matthew Valbuena was, where he was the little bicycle. If you want to like really throw it back to the good old days when the French were a mess, he's just so long. He'll like show you the ball, then pull it back on you, and he'll beat you because he will just outstride you because he takes one stride for like 2 or 3 of yours.
Yes.
And it's great that those guys were able to do that. You're pushing, you give up 2 goals in the second half on deflected shots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad about those necessarily because for one thing, they're deflected because guys are throwing their bodies in front of the ball. Great. That's what we've been asking for the last month now, because it felt like when this team was closing out games and giving up late goals to lose wins and end up with draws, guys weren't throwing themselves in front of the ball. They weren't just killing themselves to try and keep the ball out. You were trying to throw yourself at the ball. You were trying to block shots. 2 of them got deflected and they went in. Ish happens with those 2 goals, for second 2 goals. I don't care as much about that. I know it's cosmetically, it makes it look so much worse. I don't really care as much about that. I stayed pissed off about the first 2 goals because it wasn't like Red Bulls created something when you were on your game. You made a couple of mistakes that you can't have. Yeah. I mean, you made mistakes that you can't have because you're playing a team that feasts on those particular mistakes. You can't make them.
Yeah.
And that comes down to the individuals on the field, because you know how you're going to play. This team's played damn near the same way since 2017. When they play a team like that, they want to play through and absorb the pressure and bring guys up and find space in between, whether it's over the top or finding space between the lines and playing through the pressure. Sometimes you get fouled, sometimes you don't, whatever. They've played the same way through multiple coaches. At this point, we got to make peace with that's what they're going to do. In the same sense that when Red Bulls goes through an inevitable swoon in like a month's time, because all of these energy drink teams will do it. Philadelphia did it for chunks of the year this year. St. Louis had it as well. Red Bulls will do it. It's just what they do. They're not going to just stop doing what they're doing because it isn't working for a couple of games or isn't working against an opponent. They're going to keep doing what they're going to keep doing, man. And I'm more, like I said, I'm more upset about the first 2 goals because they're mistakes you can't have, and they're not from kids. They're from veteran players who you need them to be better. Because especially if you're in a situation against Philadelphia this week, and you might be, where it might be Noah Cobb back there in center back, you're going to need everybody on that back line on their P's and Q's against a cagey Philadelphia team that just dropped a 4-1, I think, on Miami, which
everybody does. But
yeah, except when Atlanta went down there and played them and just kind of like, Atlanta was fine against Miami in that game. Like, they weren't great, but Miami didn't play them off the field. It was kind of a weird game where, like, Miami wasn't amazing. And then they got those 2 goals, and all of a sudden, goals change games, baby. Miami's been a different animal the last few weeks. It's been weak. Like, they haven't gotten the boost I thought that they would get from firing Neville. Like the new manager bounce, the dead cat bounce of the manager. They haven't gotten that. It's been weird. No, Michael, I know they didn't beat Miami. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was a weird game. Like, I'm not saying Atlanta did beat Miami. I'm saying it was a weird game. Like, Atlanta wasn't played off the field. They just didn't take advantage of opportunities because that's just kind of what it's been. And yeah, but it's man, yeah, I don't know. It's the Red Bulls game was aggravating because of the first 35, 40 minutes, and after that, it's kind of like at that point, you know how a Komodo dragon hunts? Dragon hunts. A Komodo dragon actually has it secretes a poisonous venomous saliva. It secretes a venomous saliva, and what it will do is it will bite an animal, and they have a decent bite force. It's not earth-shattering. It's not like a crocodile, but they'll bite an animal like on the ankle, and then just hang around. Just watch it for a couple days. They'll follow it. Because eventually the venoms will work their way through. It stops the blood from clotting, and they will follow that animal around for a couple days and wait for it to die to eat it. Just wait. And it's what happened. Red Bulls were a Komodo dragon, and you walked right into it by making those mistakes that you can't make. And the second half was just the Komodo dragon following you around and taking bits of you as it went, which was the 2 Frankie Maya deflected goals. That was kind of an inevitability when you're having to open wide the hell up. They haven't scored a ton of goals, but they've been good defensively, and they get you on the counter, which is what they want to turn over, and they want to go vertical. Well, They did, but they were the Komodo dragon, and twice in the first half,
Robot got to Jarrett. So when Jarrett cycles back, we'll let him wrap up his point against Red Bulls.
What was my point?
I don't know. Well, the robot's got the best of you.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you offered up your ankle to a Komodo dragon in the first half because you made 2 dumb mistakes. And then at that point, it was just kind of second half happens because you play wide the hell open. So whatever. It's a really dumb game. It's a really annoying game because, like I said, you know how you're going to play, and you know you can't make those particular mistakes. You can't give them the opportunities, and you did. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, falls on the players as much as anything.
Yeah, Sam, Skynet did get Jarrett.
Skynet's been trying to get me, man.
Yep.
Are people mad? Are people still mad about Vicente Reyes?
I don't know if mad is the right word, but
I've seen some very online people about Vicente Reyes, and I do not have the cholesterol to deal with this.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's officially official. Vicente Reyes to Norwich, and we know that friend of the network, Michelle Paravani, Michelle Not a Lab, is she's probably completely and totally beyond happy about it. But Vicente Reyes to Norwich, and I mean, the fact that Norwich City in the championship wanted to come by and knock on your door and say, "Hey, we'll give you a little less than $2 million for Vicente Reyes." That was the number.
Was that the total?
I think that was what was floated out there initially. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
But hey, Vicente Reyes gets a chance to go to the he gets to go to the EFL Championship and try to be a part of a club trying to get back into the Premier League. So,
I don't know. And John, you know the EFL much better than I do. I don't know if he will start for them, what his timeline is with them.
Right.
But to my knowledge, my understanding is Reyes was on a 2s deal.
Mm-hmm.
He was not on a homegrown deal. You have Justin Garces on a homegrown deal, is coming back from an ACL injury, and I think using our therapy words of "I think I know I feel,"
yes,
I feel like the Atlanta was incredibly careful with Justin Garces.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he underwent surgery for it, and if you've ever sprained a ligament or had tendon damage, like, you don't always have to have surgery. Stuff will heal, but it just depends on the grade of it and the situation. There's different situations you have to deal with. I feel like they were very, very careful with his timeline, and they were able to be careful with his timeline because you had guys like Reyes and Guerra this year. And Garces is back now. I think he's trying to find his rhythm, which is fine. I don't know that they ever offered Reyes a homegrown deal or that he wanted to sign one. And if Vicente thought his future lay elsewhere and he was on a 2s deal, then your choices are get something for him now, or he might just leave after his 2s deal is up and go somewhere else. And good enough to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it was. I don't get the idea that it was like a waste or anything, and I hated seeing him go because I like him. I think he's a really good goalkeeper. He's a fun kid to talk to.
Yeah,
he's young. It might have been an opportunity where someone comes up and says, "Hey, we want you to come to the EFL, try and earn your spot." Hell yeah, man! I'd want to take that too.
Yep.
It's hopefully. I hope he kills it over there.
Yep.
I hate that he's gone because you want to keep. It's this thing, man, where like you want to keep all of the homegrowns that have promise, but you can't. You statistically can't. You also want everyone in your recruiting class in college football to maximize their potential and to be amazing. And they statistically can't. Only 11 guys can play on a field at a time.
Yep.
So if he wanted to make that move, then yeah, you got to do that.
Yep.
I think Atlanta's fine. You also, by the way, had the goalkeeper of the tournament in the U16 tournament.
Mm-hmm.
In the MLS Next tournament that the U16s won. You had 2 players get awards. You had goalkeeper win an award, and you had Rocket Rita, future legend. Oh,
yes.
By the way, Rocket has a little brother in the academy.
Oh,
yeah, he's like 10 or 11, but he has a little brother in the academy.
Oh, I thought
the Rita bloodline is a rich one.
We the ones.
Yes,
absolutely. I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say that that Rocket's younger brother had another NASA-based first name or something.
I hope so. Actually, I think it's I don't know that it is.
Like Blast.
So he's a brother.
Like that. You put that out there. I was just like, please let it be something else rocket-based.
Yeah, and to his ambulance is running past me.
I was going to say, pulled over.
No, it's an ambulance. It's not me. It's not anything I did. It's somebody that someone else did that was unfortunate, apparently, because this ambulance has decisions to make.
Yes.
So, and this is and I'll do this quickly as we get through this conversation. To Emilio's point about the players making mistakes. Yeah, you're in a window now, and it's not just going to be this window, man. And I would keep an eye on this window and the winter window. Yep. Because you're going to have guys out of contract. And if guys aren't performing, especially if you are going to have young players who, like a Jay Fortune who scored for Trinidad and Tobago Gold Cup, if you're going to have young guys go out there and do stuff like that, you're going to have some decisions to make on some of these other depth pieces on the roster.
That is
about, true. Who needs to be here? Who do you sell? Who do you keep? And performances like we've seen this year are going to sway it, man. And it might not just be happening this summer. I wouldn't be surprised if you see it in the winter as well, because then guys are going to be more likely out of contract.
Yes.
So that's absolutely going to be something that we see, and some decisions are going to be made, and some people may like some of them, some people may not like other ones, and some people may like some and not others. Just how it goes. Yeah.
Yep.
I do not doubt for a second there are going to be some decisions, especially with some of these kids that are coming. And if they continue to prove, like, for instance, Sunday night was another game of Luke Brennan, who still is getting more consistent about getting on the stat sheet.
Yes.
But Luke Brennan was one of my 3 stars of that game because he worked his ass off on and off the ball. At one point got a Charlie horse and was limping around like I thought someone had cut off his leg. But he fought to stay on the field, fought through it. Whatever cramp or Charlie horse he had went away, and he was incredibly vertical and incredibly dangerous and ruthless. Even up 2 goals, he was looking to drive at people constantly. If you got guys who are going to bring that, then yeah, you got decisions to make about other players who might not be putting up numbers, who might not be putting up performances you want. If you got kids who want those minutes, and I am very much a proponent of playing the kids, I don't care that they make mistakes. They're kids. They're going to make mistakes. I want to see what I got.
Yeah.
So when he gets back from the Gold Cup, I want a Johnny Fortune getting as many minutes as he's going to earn because I want to see what he's got. Even talking to Devin Kerr before the game in the press box before the New York City game, when Kerr was doing the first team game on TV. We were talking to him, and he just kind of sighed. He went, "The kid is really good." He was a huge fan of Fortune, and those guys like that, guys like Tyler Wolff, who has become a late bloomer. I don't know what Tyler Wolff's ceiling is, but I know what he is right now, and that's starting on the field over Derek Etienne Jr., who's with Haiti with the Gold Cup. And when Etienne comes back, he's going to have to show you something in training because right now, for me, it's Wiley on that left wing, and it needs to be Wolff on that right wing unless you go out and find like another difference maker winger for Tam Muddy or something, or however you want to address that. And honestly, if you keep getting, sieve performances at the left back, you got to have some conversations about, do you drop Caleb back? Do you put someone else at left back if Gutman is going to be making those mistakes that are costing you goals?
Mm-hmm.
These are decisions you got to make, and these are conversations that aren't comfortable for some people. But I know for some of y'all, they're very comfortable because it's what y'all have been talking about in the Twitch pitch, and totally okay. I know you're very comfortable with it, and that's fine. But yeah, man, you gotta, especially with some of the performances you get from some of the kids. Like, man, if the kids go out there and make mistakes, this is the same thing with George Campbell last year. If the kids go out there and make mistakes, it's something they can learn from. And Noah Cobb might be in that position Sunday. And Noah Cobb might make mistakes, but I want to see him out there.
Yep.
I want to see what you have with these kids. Because otherwise, mostly, otherwise you're not utilizing them to their full effect. And also the fact that, look, the mistakes you're getting are from guys who are competing for minutes against those kids right now.
Yeah.
And if those guys are making mistakes, if I'm going to get mistakes, I'm going to get mistakes from the kids and see what they can bring. Because, and this is the thing we joke about in other sports, John. I think we've joked about it in football and other sports, that sometimes kids are too stupid to be afraid. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, if you don't understand the gravity of the situation around you, then it's to your benefit. If you don't understand, who is Kipling? Hang on, let me get the Kipling quote because Vin Scully said it and it's always stuck with me. It's "If" by Rudyard Kipling, and if you let's see, or is it?
And while you're looking for that, Unc, I agree. A good transfer window would solve a lot of issues. And I do have to jump off, unfortunately, but I agree with you. And I'm interested to see what they do. I don't know how much of a huge splash they'll do. I don't really have any insight on that. I haven't been able to get anything into like what they're chasing. But man, it's going to be interesting to see how minutes shake out in the second half. It's going to be a tough second half of the year. You got tough teams lined up. You got tough road trips. Mm-hmm. And I want to see how these guys deal with it.
Yeah.
I think they are mentally tougher than they were in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I think this team as a whole is mentally tougher than they were in the past, despite like their end of games mistakes. I don't think those are a matter of toughness. I think those are just guys not executing and not doing their job at literally the least opportune time possible when they know they have to do their job. But I think this team is tough enough to handle these weird situations, but they actually have to show you something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And whether it's kids, whether it is going to be, veteran guys, whoever wants it, go get it. And however the window shakes out, I wonder, if we see other guys move. Can I give you a hot take of a guy who might move?
Go for it.
Before I leave?
Yeah.
How surprised would any of you be if Santi Sosa's gone?
I wouldn't think so.
No, man. God bless him. Santi under hindsight was a revelation, but God bless him, he can't stay healthy right now.
Yep.
I would imagine Mosquera is going to go back on loan somewhere. Like that's just the Occam's razor answer.
Yeah.
I agree, Babby. Injuries have gotten Sosa. It's going to be one of those things like I don't want to see him leave because he's a bad player. I like Sosa.
Mm-hmm.
But if he can't stay healthy, then I need guys who can stay on the field. It's the same thing with Emerson Hyndman. I know people have their
that's your Emerson Hyndman reference all the time, yeah.
Yeah, and I know some people have their Emerson Hyndman comments about everything and their opinions on Emerson, who's thriving right now in Memphis, but we'll see, man. Yeah. We'll have to see. Hey, Unc, Josetto, I don't know if they get rid of him, but Josetto is one where I'm looking at personally, where that's the spot I want a Johnny Fortune snatching from him, and I want Johnny to earn it. I'm not saying you give or Jay Fortune. Sorry.
Yes,
he's asked to be. We asked Combs. Combs asked Jay. He would like to be referred to by as Jay. So Jay Fortune.
So he's Jay Fortune.
Yeah, Jay Fortune. I've gone through 3 iterations of his name in multiple years with the twos, man. I am just exhausted. But and yeah, you might go DP in that spot. I don't know, but I want him to earn it. But I want Jay Fortune to earn those minutes because I'm really impressed with what he's done, and I think I think his ceiling is higher and he can give you more.
Yeah,
give me those minutes. God bless Franco Ibarra for turning into what I wanted Victor Wanyama in the offseason. I wanted them to go get Victor Wanyama when he was a free agent before he re-signed in Montreal. Ibarra has turned into Victor Wanyama, not as clean passing, although I think it's getting better, but the energy he brings and the FU that he brings is exactly what I needed him to be. Sam, I think Ozman retires the instant. I have no idea, but I would not be surprised at all if Ozzy goes into coaching.
Yes.
He and Sadic, if I had to pick 2 guys on this team who become coaches, him and Sadic, both of them are smart as hell, man. Like Sadic is his soccer IQ is jarringly high. Like it's alarming.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be the 2 guys I would pick. And it'd be awesome if he stayed on and was a part of those would be ones that I would want to see. And I'd be love for him to stay here if he wants to coach here. Also, shout out to Kevin Kratz because, again, the U16's won. Kevin Kratz managing that team. If you'll ever get the chance to talk to Kevin Kratz, super, super fun guy to talk to, especially in this stage of his career. I highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to leave now. Sorry.
Go on. All right. So
I've been rambling.
That's no worries.
It's good to talk to y'all. Good to see you, Unc.
Yes.
Hope you're doing well up in the Northwest.
Yes. And so you'll be back for Wall Pass Wednesday tomorrow, yeah?
That is my plan, yes.
All right. So we'll see you at Wall Pass Wednesday. All right. So that's Jarrett. And I know that folks are looking at contracts and trying to figure out what it looks like. So at the end of this year, end of this calendar year, you will have had to make decisions on Efren Morales, end of November, and this is according to our friends at Transfermarkt. End of November for Eric Centeno. End of the calendar year, Westberg, Gazan, Ozzy, Clement Diop, Sadic, Josechu, Miles, Jackson Conway, Juanjo Purata on loan, Aiden McFadden, Andrew Gutman, Miguel Berry. That's what you're staring at the end of this season. That's what you're staring at. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14 decisions by the end of this calendar year. That's what you're staring at. Once again, here's what you're staring at. Morales, Centeno, Westberg, Gazan, Ozzy Alonso, Clement Diop, Sadic, Josechu, Miles, Jackson Conway, Juanjo Purata's loan, McFadden, Gutman, Barry. So that's what you're staring at. That's the end of. He played. I think Quentin he's been there. I want to say he's played once. I know that Clemon Diop has. So there has been activity. I think that Westberg has. I know Clemon Diop has next. So that you're looking at more than a dozen decisions for Atlanta United at the end of this year. And then you get into others as you go. But yeah, of the 29 guys on your roster right now, 14 have decisions to be made at the end of this calendar year. So keep an eye on that. Oh, and I found Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make your dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Yeah, I was trying to remember if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. And then yours is the earth and every man that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. So that's what I was trying to remember. The beginning and the end of Rudyard Kipling. So that's what you're looking at. A lot of names to be looked at here. I know Mr. Fantastic wants to get into the Canadian soccer situation, and we will. And I know that also reached out on Twitter and asked the question about it. And I know that Mr. Fantastic has asked on the Twitters. And so Mr. Fantastic on Twitter had asked about Canada's national team finances, announced that they're broke. Men's and women's national teams might not compete in international games and have to file for bankruptcy. Okay. So I'll post what we referenced yesterday in the Power Hour for those of you that might have missed it. And so, Mr. Fantastic, this is an article that I will reference, and it has to do with a Canadian investigative reporter by the name of Rick Westhead. And he is one of the biggest pit bulls that you can have in an investigative format for any network. And he has done some tremendous work. And so in his interview with Interim General Secretary Jason DeVos, here's what DeVos said, and this is the highlights, but I posted the article in the Twitch pitch for requested reading of the day. Quoting DeVos, "We're in a real struggle. It's not imminent, but we need to explore what bankruptcy entails and how it might affect our organization. We don't have enough revenue coming in for the programs that need to be run, and that includes everything from grassroots coach education and referee development to youth national teams and our senior men's and women's teams." Christine Sinclair, side note, has said that a temporary labor deal is imminent, whatever that means. Bankruptcy has been discussed, but not in the sense of this is a strategy or this is something that we're looking at. It's been discussed more from my own perspective to learn about it. It's absolutely the last option that I want to consider or even think about, but I would be remiss if I didn't do my due diligence on this. Canada Soccer got $5 million from the federal government in 2022. They spent more than $4 million last year, cash reserves going from $7.1 million to $2.4. In May, the sports minister has ordered an independent audit of the federation covering a 6-year period. Canada Soccer officials have also been in talks with Canadian Soccer Business to renegotiate this media and sponsorship agreement that was signed back in 2018. They got the $4 million. They got the $5 million, Abby, in 2022 from the federal government, and they spent $4 million last year. So they got $5 million from the federal government, spent $4 million. So the biggest thing that a lot of folks are raising their eyebrows about is this deal that they have, the collective outside of the collective bargaining agreement. The media sponsorship deal that was signed 5 years ago was a 10-year deal, and then it went to 30. Canada Soccer officials have been in talks with a Canadian Soccer Business to renegotiate this deal that was signed in 2018. It's a 20-year deal in place through 2037. If CSB decides to extend an initial 10-year deal, CSB pays Canada Soccer an annual fee of between $3 and $4 million. So, flat fee from this group that gets them all the media and sponsorship agreements. In exchange for just giving Canada Soccer $3 or $4 million a year, the private company that is in charge of the media and sponsorship agreement for Canada Soccer, which is owned by Canadian Premier League team owners and controlled by them, they get all of the revenue from the national team's media rights and sponsorships. Basically, it's Canada Soccer Business is like some Soccer United marketing for Canada. They give Canada Soccer, in this deal currently in place, $3 to $4 million a year. That's it. In exchange for that money up front, hey, we'll give you this and you can do whatever you want with it. CSB, Canada Soccer Business, gets all the revenue from the media rights and the sponsorship deals. Canada Soccer doesn't see a dime of that. Goes straight to Canada Soccer Business for Canada Soccer Business, giving Canada Soccer $3 to $4 million a year. Contract hasn't been thought of very kindly up on Parliament Hill. The deal was negotiated back in 2017 when this hemisphere was the favorite to become the host of the 26 World Cup. And this is from Westhead, despite repeated public assurances from Canada Soccer officials, CSB had agreed to modernize the contract. It's unclear if tangible offers to retool the contract have ever been presented. June 19, after Canada loses 2-0 in the Nations League final, Jonathan David, Jonathan Osorio, Richie Larea sat in coach going from Vegas to Toronto. DeVos. In terms of them flying business class, it's transatlantic flights only. We would love to be able to fly all of our players in business class on every flight, but we don't have the resources to do that. It's not that we're saying you don't deserve it or you don't need it. We can't afford it. It's possible Canada Soccer may not play any games in 2 or 3 international windows between September and November. They missed out on the chance to play matches against Korea and Saudi Arabia in September. DeVos was like a week into his gig, the current interim general secretary. when he was advised by a match agent, as a broker, that had tabled an offer for the Canadian men's team to play Korea in England and Saudi Arabia and Austria in September. Saudi Arabia was willing to offer Canada Soccer $500,000 to play, which meant the cost of the federation playing both games in Europe would have been less than $200,000. Canada currently ranked 47th. General Secretary told an agent, the broker, he couldn't commit because he needed to explore the financial consequences of agreeing to the games. DeVos said Canada Soccer officials believe that if the men's national team plays in its international windows this fall, the federation would need to ensure the women's team also schedules games in the window too. 2 matches and running a camp in a window between $500,000 and $1 million a team. $500,000 and $1 million. So it'd be, say, let's max it out. $2 million to do it right in a window. 3 windows, $6 million is what you need. And that depends on whether teams need to book charter flights. There's a concern having both senior teams playing in each of the 3 windows would put another drain on the federation's cash. Agents secured Mexico to play those matches rather than Canada because Canada couldn't come up with a decision immediately. September 4 through 12, October 9 through 17, November 13 through 21. They're going to play in the November window, the men, scheduled to qualify for the Copa America. But it could also affect training. One match agent, who asked not to be identified, citing the confidentiality of match fees and negotiations, said Canada's men's team could still schedule games in September in the U.S. against Oman and Uzbekistan. Remember, Oman and Uzbekistan are playing the U.S. in Minneapolis and St. Louis. Canada could piggyback off of that and get those scheduled. 2 match agents paid to arrange games between national teams told TSN and Westhead in interviews Canada would probably be required to pay more than $5 million to play against a top European country. National women's team scheduled to play its first World Cup game July 20. DeVos said training for the tournament would not be compromised. It's also possible that the national women's team will not play any games following the Women's World Cup this summer, other than the 2 games against Jamaica necessary for Olympic qualification in September. That's where Canada is right now. That's where Canada is right now. And yeah, and Nick's, to your point, Canada Soccer Business, CSB, gives Canada Soccer $3 or $4 million flat rate up front here. But if media rights and sponsorship deals, that goes straight to CSB. If CSB gets more than $3 to $4 million, then CSB keeps the money and they get more of a profit out of it. They basically front the money to Canada Soccer, try to recoup it from sponsorships and that revenue, which goes straight to them. Sponsorships and media rights goes to CSB. CSB spends $3 or $4 million first, sending it to Canada Soccer. They try to recoup it, and then they keep anything over the top. So that's what you're staring at with Canada Soccer. I know that we haven't really gotten into Michael Bradley yet. Bob Bradley. Wow. And to a certain degree, Michael. Bob Bradley yesterday, in 45 minutes, Bill Manning at Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment is going to give a press conference to discuss the state of affairs with Toronto FC. Question now for Manning, and we can talk about it tomorrow on Wall Pass Wednesday, is who do you bring in? And does your philosophy change? Or with these individuals that you have currently, are they out the door at the end of the year? That's the question. So since we went down this road with Atlanta United, let's go down this road with Toronto FC. from our friends at Transfermarkt. 28 players under first-team contract, total market value €47.5 million. So let's see how many decisions they need to make at the end of this year. Click on the word contract. The end of this year, decisions need to be made on, well, Larea, first and foremost. June 30 is the end of his deal, so they got to come up with an answer for that. End of the calendar year. Handful of guys, plus Bradley, Mark Anthony Kaye, Tomas Romero, Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy, who is a U22. So Marshall-Ruddy is a U22. Keep an eye on that. So Bradley, Mark Anthony Kaye, Tomas Romero. End of the calendar year. Victor Vasquez, CJ Sapong, Greg Ranjitsingh, Christian Gutierrez, Imi Mabika, Timmy Antonoglu, Hugo Mbonge, Alonso Coelho. That's what you're staring at. 3, 6, 9 this year. It's this year at some point. Plus figuring out Michael Bradley and Tomas Romero. Well, Tomas Romero went to LAFC, sorry. So it is, so that's what you're staring at. Larea, Vasquez, Sapong, Ranjitsingh, Gutierrez, Mabika, Antonoglu, Mbonge, Coelho. Insigne and Bernadeschi are signed through 26. Osorio through 25. Brandon Cervania through 24. Akinola 24. Matt Hedges 24. Sean Johnson 24. Dio 24. So that's what you're staring at with Toronto. Toronto's got, was it 8, 3, 6, 9, including Larea, who you got to come up with a decision for in a couple days. So that's what you're staring at. So, Michael, with Bob Bradley, who do you bring in? And do you let Insigne and Bernadeschi go? What does Bill Manning want to do? You're going to do the worldwide coaching search because of the talent that you have on hand. So what do you do? We'll find out from Bill Manning at 11:30. But, yeah, Canada soccer's a mess, sadly. We got all that to think about. So, gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Initially, the Bayern bid for Harry Kane got turned away. They wanted 70, and they put up 70, and Spurs were like, nope. Spurs preparing to table an opening offer of £40 million for James Maddison. The Fox wants 60. Napoli's reported rejection of PSG's €100 million move for Victor Osimhen could spark an auction, according to Gazzetta dello Sport. Liverpool, Manchester United, Newcastle, Bayern Munich. Harry Kane is keen to be on the move to Germany, according to Sky Germany, but that $70 million apparently is not going to fly. Newcastle in advanced talks with Southampton over a potential £15 million deal for fullback Tino Livramento. Jadon Sancho, Harry Maguire among 13 Manchester United players that the team is willing to sell. 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. United's long pursuit of Rabiot faces a setback. Set to sign the deal with Juve. We'll get into Romano and Ben Jacobs coming up here in short order. Chelsea reached a full agreement on personal terms with Moises Caicedo. Yeah, Sam, Insigne does want to leave. But it's the whole contract controlling the asset kind of a thing. He's under contract through 26. Chelsea reached a full agreement on personal terms with Moises Caicedo, now need to settle on a fee. Salah is not heading away from Anfield anytime soon, despite speculation linking him to Saudi Arabia. However, Salah is out of contract. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain debating whether to accept the first lucrative offer of an England international to join the Saudi Pro League. Once again, 4-letter paper. Arsenal lining up Yusuf Fofana as an alternative for West Ham's Declan Rice, but the Hammers in Newcastle are also chasing the Monaco midfielder. AC Milan will sign Ruben Loftus-Cheek for €15 million. Unai Emery keen on a reunion with Villarreal center back Pau Torres, who feel that if they feel they can get less for less than his £51.5 million release clause, just with 1 year left on the deal. Keep an eye on this. Looks like Gylfi Sigurdsson and Wayne Rooney are having talks, so Sigurdsson could be jumping over to DC United. 3-letter paper. Sheffield United in advanced talks with Mesa to get Mason Holgate on loan from Everton. Liverpool have joined Arsenal in the race to sign Romeo Lavia from Southampton. Wolfsburg will demand $26 million for defender Mickey van de Ven, who's been linked with Spurs. Sunderland's English teenager Chris Rigg at 16 has rejected a move to Newcastle to remain at the Stadium of Light. Arsenal have made an improved £41.5 million bid for Jurrien Timber from Ajax. So that is your early rounds of gossip and innuendo. So let's get into Ben Jacobs, who's a very, very busy man these days. David De Gea signed a contract extension with Manchester United only for the club to back out. De Gea agreed to drastically reduce his wages, but the club failed to sign the contract, according to The Athletic. Total package for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, 4-year deal. Total package, €20 million. Bayern saw their opening Kane bid rejected. Keep an eye on that. Rabiot signed a new 1-year deal, keeping him at Juve through the end of June 2024. Roy Hodgson agreed to stay on at Crystal Palace. That seems very safe, is what Crystal Palace is good at. They want to be safe. They want to be okay. They want to stay cool. It's like, we don't want to rub anybody the wrong way. We just kind of want to be here. We're happy to be at the party. We're just going to stand over in the corner, drink the punch, have a couple of sandwiches, just kind of stand around, And if one of the ladies over on the other side of the room wants to come over and dance with us, we might be too shy to turn her, to accept. Steve Parrish and that group, they just want to be safe. They just want to be there. You got to sign Wilfred Zaha first and foremost. But yeah, once again, Crystal Palace doing the safe thing. We want to stay here at the party. We don't want to do anything to hurt our chances to be let through the ropes at the party. We don't want to, the big guy with the clipboard, all dressed in black with the ponytail. We don't want to hurt his feelings. We're on the clipboard. See, we're on the list. See, we're right there. That's us. Well, okay, you can come in. Fabrizio Romano. Atletico Madrid advancing on the Javi Galan deal. Manu Sanchez also being part of the deal with Celta de Vigo, which is where Rafa Benitez is now. Sevilla interested in signing Nico Melamed as a new winger. Could leave Espanyol after the relegation. Chelsea and Al Nassr have signed all the documents to complete the Hakim Ziyech deal. Medical test pending. Ziyech will join CR38 at Al Nassr. Second part of medicals completed. Documents signed. Guillermo Vicario set to be unveiled as a new Tottenham player. Deals valid until 28. Pepe to Eindhoven. Circling back to this after the beginning of the show. Confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. He only wanted PSV. Understand the fees. €10 million out already agreed with Augsburg. Personal terms also agreed last week. Contract is until June of 28. He stays in the Eredivisie. It was given a here we go. Man City looking at signing 16-year-old striker Luca Fletcher from Reading. Fee at around $600,000 with add-ons. Part of the City project to sign and develop. Al Nassr's delegation now traveling to France to try to reach an agreement with Lens on the Seko Fofana deal. No green light from Brozovic. We mentioned Rabiot. We mentioned Pepe. Marseille at the final stages for Kondogbia's deal to be finalized. He only wants Marseille. 3-year deal agreed with an option for a further year. Marseille and Atletico Madrid in contact to close in on the €7 million fee. This is going back within the span of the show. Bayern remain informed on Pau Torres as Lucas Hernandez is close to joining PSG. Villa pushing as well. Bayern priority targets remain Kim Min-jae, personal terms almost agreed to 2 weeks ago. Chelsea, Manchester United prepared for direct contact this week to make a final decision on the Mount deal. Manchester United's £55 million deal remains valid, but not forever. Remember, the Kane fee was €70 million plus add-ons, not enough to convince Tottenham. It was rejected. David Ornstein first to report. Brozovic won't accept the current proposal from Al Nassr. The salary bid has to be improved to make it happen. Inter agreed to a €23 million deal with the Saudi side, but it only depends on the player. West Ham rejected Manchester City's proposal for Declan Rice. Arsenal will also bid again for more than £90 million on the whole package. Plan's been clear for days. More to follow as Arsenal's third bid is expected soon, but Manchester City remain in the race. Keep an eye on that. Tottenham have agreed to personal terms with James Maddison. Negotiations finally advancing, talks underway. Daniel Levy very active on the deal, trying to get it done as soon as possible. Edouard Mendy's deal is completed. Al Ahly and Chelsea have signed all the contracts. Official statement coming soon. Knicks Franco Negri from Inter Miami is out for the rest of the season with an ACL. And intrepid searcher Ricky Ricardo. Bill knows the details. Kane and Bayern are einig. There's talk that Harry Kane wants to go and play in the Bundesliga, so we'll see. Spurs confirmed that former Palace captain Mile Jedinak will be part of Ange Postecoglou's coaching staff as an assistant coach. Ryan Mason will stay on in an assistant's role as well. Denis Suarez joins Villarreal as a free agent, as expected back in September. Gossip, let's see, stuff to watch. Stuff to watch today. And we will see. I mean, remember, we've got stuff tonight. That we've got Gold Cup to keep an eye on. We'll watch that. Wednesday, NWSL Challenge Cup, Angel City and San Diego's on at 10:30. Gold Cup, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago. Jay Fortune sighting at 10:30. St. Kitts Nevis in the U.S. at 10 is on Wednesday, so I'm a day ahead of myself. So today is all Gold Cup. All Gold Cup all the time. 7 and probably 9:15. They're saying 8:45. Don't, because if a match, it's like you don't want to overlap each other. Canada, Guadeloupe at 7. Guatemala, Cuba's at 8:45. FS1 2 to NA Unimas. So that's your viewing today. It's all Gold Cup all the time. Yes, Knicks. We'll get into that with MLS and Apple. I will go through the awful announcing bit. Awful announcing had a big article. And thank you for throwing it back in. Today, Canada's a minus 7.14 against Guadeloupe. Guadeloupe's a plus 15.27. Guatemala's a minus 2.13 at 8:45 going up against Cuba as a minus 2.13. Cuba is a plus 6.79. Your draw is a plus, what's the draw option again? A plus 293. We mentioned it yesterday on the Power Hour. We'll bring it back again today because everybody's back with us. Looking at the what we're seeing from Apple TV Plus, it looks like they're hitting their metrics. From Awful Announcing and Sean Keeley. New report in the Seattle Times about to close in on an important marker. Seattle Times Sounders beat reporter Jada Evans wrote over the weekend they were mad that Sounders fans were mad they couldn't quite follow their squad now that the league has entered into this deal. In March, once again, the Athletic added the opt-out clause in that article. In the middle of the Jada Evans piece, sources have confirmed they're about to cross the benchmark. Writing, quote, MLS sources confirm the league is nearing Apple's required subscription threshold that kickstarts an agreement for the company to share subscription revenue with MLS. The league's players, per the terms of the new CBA, would also receive 12.5% of the increase in media revenue this year if the amount exceeds $100 million of the 2022 media compensation, which was about $65 million when excluding fees paid to the USMNT, end quote. Picking back up lawful announcing and Sean Keeley. It's unclear if that threshold is the same one that would make the opt-out clause null, and of course, nearing in quotation marks, could be doing a lot of work here as far as we know. Regardless, one of the few tangible signs we've seen that the deal appears to be on the right track. Of course, there's a long way to go, plenty of hurdles that remain in convincing casual fans to pony up for yet another streaming subscription. But once again, quoting awful announcing, we'd imagine a lot of other leagues and streamers are keeping an eye on this deal to see how it performs for both sides. That's from Sean Keeley over at Awful Announcing via Jada Evans and the Seattle Times. So it looks like the 12.5% might be getting there for the players, according to the CBA. So keep an eye on that. But that's good news if you're a fan of the league and how things are looking. I don't know if you saw this, other than Leicester being ready to move for Harry Winks from Spurs. Wilf Zaha and Stormzy are leading a takeover of AFC Croydon Athletic. They both grew up in Croydon and have formed a consortium to buy the club. Non-league. Formed a consortium with Danny Young, former head of player care at Palace, exchanged contracts with the current owners of the Combined Counties League Premier South Division team, 9th tier of the English football pyramid. Own, operate, develop their childhood hometown football club. Completion subject to legislative and governance procedures. The three consortium members excited about developing a community asset in the borough that gave them their own opportunities. Okay, well, this is, I don't know if you want this sentence in this article. Zaha is set to take his next steps in the football ownership following the likes of Jamie Vardy, who's co-owner of American team Rochester Rhinos, while Gerard Piqué is owner of FC Andorra in La Liga 2. I don't know if you want to bring up Rochester Rhinos in a conversation about that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, exactly. Why? I'm thinking Messi had a lot to do with it, Nix. No doubt. I'm thinking that he did. Checking quickly to see if there's anybody else that we've missed when it comes to news and innuendo and gossip and all of that stuff before we come back tomorrow morning at 9:05. Oh yes, Manchester United. I know that this was also mentioned in the Twitch pitch. Manchester United have projected record annual revenue of up to £640 million in the current financial year as the takeover saga rumbles on. And it talks about the sale and what could happen and protest. United's revenue guidance for the current financial year raised to a record £630 to £640 million in the third quarter financial results for the period ending 31 March 2023, released on Tuesday. Driven by record match attendance, match day revenues with ticket sales of $2.4 million for the 22-23 season. Surpassed the previous ticket sales record set in 16-17, while global memberships also hit 360,000. The largest paid membership program in world sport, according to the club. Revenue for the third quarter was also up 11% on the same period last year. Broadcasting revenue slightly down on the corresponding period due to the club being in Europa League rather than Champions League, but was partially offset by the club's performance in Domestic Cup. Summer recruitment will not be affected by the results, according to sources close to the club. There will be enough cash available to enable Eric Ten Hag to invest in the team while staying within financial sustainability rules. So, Glazers continue to work the magic and have things continue to go up and up and up and up and up when it comes to the financials. So, good on you. Good work by you if you're the Glazers. I know that a lot of folks are hoping that you would either A, leave, or B, invest. Yep. Saw that. Congratulations to the Gressel clan, adding another baby girl. Another baby girl is, let's see if she is either left-footed or right-footed. We'll see what happens with that family. Once again, let me let you know the air traffic here. Later today, it is USL programming, USL Championship in League One, and some NPSL extras involving Jack Marchant from the Georgia Revs from last week and Julien Senyal, a defender for Charlottetown Hops. So that'll be out later today. MLS Next Pro will be out tomorrow. And also, we will repost the All-Star Game fix. It's about an hour and 15 minutes. It's a fever dream, but it was day drunk, but it was a fix, and it keeps teams from the outside from being a part of it. Wednesday, hoping to have Dylan Butler on the show at 10 o'clock. We'll have programming, obviously, also added to that. Thursday, very, very busy show. Bart Keeler, 9:30, talking about what happened with USMNT and St. Kitts and Nevis. USL show. Keeler Hodges and his crew are going to come on at 10 o'clock to give you everything that happened in the last month in USL Championship. Nico Moreno coming on at 10:30. Friday, normal, 9 o'clock or 9:05 normal. 9:30, Greg Garza from Beyond Goals Mentoring coming on. 10 o'clock, the weekend whip around, patent pending trademark coming. Remember, Atlanta United is the TV game Sunday afternoon at 4:25 start. Philadelphia Union coming to town. So that's all the stuff. That's all the news that's fit the print. So thanks to all of you guys for popping up yesterday for the Power Hour. Thanks for coming back this morning as we talked through Atlanta United, talked through the twos, talked through Rocket Rita, talked through Canada Soccer, talked through Toronto FC, talked through it all. What we're here for. And we'll do it again tomorrow. Have a cool day, and we'll talk birthdays in the opening kickoff tomorrow, and birthday presents and gifts and things like that. So we'll talk about all that tomorrow. That's a tease. So for everybody here at SDH, for Jarrett, for Nick, for Jason, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us as you always do. I'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow. Since it is the end of the show, play it safe, everybody. That means I get to do this. We'll see you in 22 hours.